Hi, everybody.
Can you hear that? Is that too loud?
Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you.
And you are Morgan?
Yes, I'm Morgan. Sorry about the dog.
Oh, no, I've got one too. You may hear him at some point.
Sounds good.
So I have Heather. Are you there? And I have Tracy and B White. I can't remember the first name.
It's actually Sarah. Can you hear me?
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started, okay? I am trying to record this so that we can put it on for other people who are planning to do the clinical, alternative. First things first, the reason that they are doing this, got one more, let me let her in. Is it Iphioma? Is that how you say it? Okay, so let's get back to this. So this has happened for, I think this is the third semester that we've been trying the clinical alternative. And so I know a lot of people are wondering how this is going to work in with your whole, 540 some hours that you have to sit for boards. And that is just it. So this class that we do here, we have 80 hours of clinical. It's kind of, so to speak, like a padding. So, if something were to happen, like you have a baby, you get sick and you can't make up the rest of your clinical hours, it's kind of a padding for that. So it's actually built into several nurse practitioner programs. So if something were to happen, like COVID, that we can handle it. So you should, even with missing the clinical hours, the 80 hours in this class, you still should be able to have plenty to graduate and test for boards. So I know a lot of the programs pad theirs. I think mine was padded with 120 hours. So more clinicals you can get, the better nurse practitioner you're going to be. So, but we're going to try and work around that and see if we can make it better. Okay. So the requirements for the clinical alternative, you're still gonna participate in all the video skills, and you'll do all the shadow health. Okay, I believe there are 8 of them that you're gonna do. So you do all 8 of those, and you have to get an 80 or above on them, on all of your shadow health. Now, keep in mind, you can repeat those and keep doing them as many times as you need to get 100% or to get your 80%. So, and it helps you. So, okay, I asked the wrong question last time. I'm learning from this and this is what I should have asked instead. So it's still a good learning experience to do that. What you also do is you'll do all of your shadow health clinicals, or shadow health, I think it's 7 or 8 programs. And then there's 3 additional ones in there. One is a young boy, I think he's age 10. And then one is a man who's having a heart attack. And then there's an older woman who's dealing with some bowel issues. So you'll do those 3, and then you'll pick 2 of the 7 that you do normally, and you're going to do soap notes on that. So you're going to do 5 soap notes altogether, okay? And those soap notes, we'd like to have you put as much information in there as you can. The soap note we're trying to help you understand is really the difference between subjective, objective, getting your plan together, your assessment. And we'll talk more about soap notes later on. But your soap note is a building block. You've got to learn this semester how to get that good soap note done, because the next semester you're building right on top of it. They're not going to be able to go back and teach you how to do soap notes again. So that's really the meaning. The meaning of this is all the clinical hours and doing all the shadow health. You should be just fine doing all your soap notes on there. The other thing that comes into play with this alternative clinical is that you're going to have things down the road, like when you would normally be participating in clinicals, you have to submit an e-value an e-value, it's just kind of like we did on our first practice one. It's a screenshot of your e-value hours. And so you're going to submit that every week and you get 5 points for it. The only problem is you won't be submitting anything into eval because you won't have any actual patients to put in there. So you won't be putting anything into eval. You won't be doing any temp checking because you're not going to be doing clinicals, okay? And then what you are going to do with those little things that are 5 points is I want you to make a Word document that says your name on it, and it says you're participating in the clinical, the alternative clinical because of COVID. And so what you'll do is you'll plug that in instead of putting in a screenshot, you'll just plug in your Word document that says that, and that way you'll get your points with those and not be lacking. And that is pretty much that in a nutshell, is those clinical hours. I'm going to open it up to questions for you guys. So one at a time, okay? Go ahead. No questions?
Okay, I have a question, maybe a clarification.
Okay.
So when you say the 8 shadow healths, and the 2 additional, those 8 shadow healths are within our
They're already built in there, yes.
Already built in there, so that we're already doing those for our assignments that we already get grades for, correct?
Correct, but what you're doing on them is you're just doing a shadow health experience, just like you did your first one, okay, with like the H&P type thing.
Okay.
But then you're gonna do, there's 3 additional ones in there. There's one on it's a young boy, one on a man. I think he's having I can't tell you that, but he's having a heart attack. And then a woman who's having some bowel issues. So you'll do those 3. And then of the 8 that you already did, you'll pick 2 of those, whatever ones you want. If you want to do abdominal and neuro, you can pick those 2. If you want of any of those, pick 2 additional to make the 5. So you'll have the 3 extras that are in there, and you'll pick 2 of the 8 that you already did. And you're going to do soap notes on those.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I thought for a second there was our assignments, and then there was 8 of them, and then the 5.
Yeah,
so I thought there was like 16 total.
Right. No, it's not that much work. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, this is the 3rd semester we've had to do it because of COVID. They're hoping that we won't have to do this next semester. But I know, I mean, it's hard enough to find your preceptors as it is, let alone with COVID going on. So I don't know if they'll offer it next semester, but you guys are covered this semester for it.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm in a hot spot of California, and it's hard. Yeah, it's like.
Where are you moving to?
We've got family in 2 different states that are not so much a hot spot. So we've got Idaho, and Colorado seems to be pretty stable. So we're like, we're going to go, because if I stay here, I am actually terrified that I'm not even going to get clinicals next semester, because where I work,
I would be worried about it too. Yeah. I mean, because they don't give you any leeway on the next semesters with it.
Yes.
I had a student, he just finished up a few weeks ago, and he had to do with his primary, and then I do urgent care. So he was with me for, I think, another 80 hours. So he had to find 2 or 3 people to make the 240. So
yeah, that's going to be difficult. So yeah, we'll hightail it out of here.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry about that. That stinks. You have to leave your home.
No, it's no one's fault. Actually, it'd probably be better. We could probably breathe better because the smoke is terrible. But
yeah, I know it's got to be bad out there. So, does anyone else have questions?
Hey, I'm sorry. This is Jody. I arrived a few minutes late. I was in another meeting. I was trying to get out.
I understand.
I did finally, I live in the Oklahoma City area, by the way. I did finally find somebody in Stroud to precept me. I'm still onboarding with the agency, and hopefully they won't put, a stop to it. But I was wondering, I'm planning on doing the whole thing on site, but if for some reason, I can't get onboarded, they midway say, no, because of COVID, you can't.
Mhm.
How does this, do I just do the same exact thing that you were just talking about? I joined about 5 after.
So it makes a lot more work, like if you do both. I'm just going to be honest. But it's in all reality, it's the best thing for you for your education. I mean, there's nothing better than the actual clinical experience and learning. You know how nurses are. See one, do one, teach one.
Oh yeah, I'm hands-on. I have an excellent preceptor, and I just, I'm just trying to have, I'm an ER person. I have to have my algorithms and my contingency plans. So
I hear you.
yeah.
But that would be the best case scenario. But what would happen? Let's say that you get into your clinicals and you get 67 hours in there, right?
Uh-huh.
And you can't do any more because they shut it down or whatever. So unfortunately, you would have to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. You'd have to finish your shadow health, and you would do your SOAP notes all the way up. And what I would suggest is if you got 67 hours, per se, I would probably do all your SOAP notes on those patients that you saw.
Okay.
You just have to do the extra 3. You would have to do the extra 3 shadow healths.
Okay. Wait,
And
I could do that.
If you're over 40 hours, then then we have to do an eval from your preceptor, which just looks good on you,
Oh yeah. No, I've just kind of wanted to figure out how that worked, if that happened. I'm hoping not.
I had one person last semester who had to do that. And I mean, it's a little extra work on your end, but like I said, there's nothing better than the actual clinical experience. That's what you're going to learn from.
Sure. So I would do my SOAP notes on all my live patients, and I would just still have to do the shadow health, but I wouldn't have to do SOAP notes on them if I had so many hours and had those other patients.
That's what I would say. I mean, we'd have to just see where you're at with your hours and make a decision there.
Okay.
But in going into that, like say you did have that scenario, you're going to have to put things into eValue. And so what I typically tell most, and I think I put this on the intro page, but let's say that you're working a 10-hour shift, right? And you see 25 patients.
Mm-hmm.
You only need to put one person in that demographic. All it is demographics. And what it's basically doing is it's proving when you go to boards, and it's proving to the governing bodies that you're actually seeing at least one patient an hour.
Okay.
So we need at least one, even though you may see 2 or 3 or 4 patients an hour, what you really need is just one in there to prove it.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem. I'm going to read a chat here that I've got from someone whose mic's not working.
Okay.
So this is from B. White. My mic is not working. If I have a preceptor already approved, but am worried for next semester to find one, can I wait until next semester to use the preceptor and do shadow health this semester? Technically, yes, you can, but you could use that preceptor for both semesters if you wanted. Wait for her to come back. She said, oh, I thought we could only use a preceptor one time. Nope, that's not true. You can use your preceptor more than one time. I know, because I've precepted several people from Maryville, and yeah, we've done that too. They're a little more lenient because of what's going on with COVID. Like I said, it's hard to find a preceptor, period, let alone with COVID going on. So if they're a little more lenient with that. So does that answer your question? Great. Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments or? I think I'm hearing crickets.
I got my questions answered when you talked about if the clinical got canceled halfway through.
Okay.
Just get your SOAP notes done and then do the rest of the.
And it's tricky, but I mean, we're trying to do the best that we can. And I will tell you guys that eValue, we just started doing that over the summer. There's still quite a few bugs in it, so try to be patient. It's just, yeah, it's better than Typhon that we used to do. I will tell you that. But what's so important with eValue, if you're going to do clinicals, is that you make sure that you've got your schedule correct. And I would say open that schedule up from, you know, the 5th week all the way up until like maybe a week, like the 15th week of clinicals, because things change in there. And, you know, the only way your eval is going to get generated is when you put that schedule in. So sometimes people are right on the line and they're like, you know, the problem is the preceptor can't get the eval. So just be cognizant of that. I think we'll have another, oh, so we've got another question here. Will we have another conference call for questions for clinicals closer to time? Yes, we will. And in regards to temp checks and hours or SOAP notes specifically. So you're not going to do anything, if you're doing the clinical, if you're doing the alternative clinical, you're not going to be doing temp checks and you won't be putting anything into eValue. And then we talked about the SOAP notes specifically. Yeah, that'll come further on, like around 5th week. We just need you to get a little more information under your belt before we do that, because if I talk about it now, you're going to be lost. Did that answer your questions? Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else got anything?
No, I think that's all, as long as we're going to have another conference about clinicals.
Yeah, I'll try to do them. I've got a video that I'm going to put up here in a couple weeks, and that's it's specifically about SOAP notes and, you know, what you're looking for and how they kind of feed each other. And I'll post that here in another week. Let's get through the first test. And I'm getting ready today I'm going to try to get that, she changed the test this semester, so I've got to make new study guides. So I'm going to work on that today. Hopefully I'll have the study guide posted today or tomorrow for you guys, because it's coming up next week. So
On the class thing, I have another question. I got an email at the beginning of the term that I didn't need a particular book. I think it was one of the health assessments, not the SIDLs, or however you pronounce that.
Okay.
Was that correct? Because I took that off of my red shelf.
You will need SIDLs for sure.
I've got that one. It was the other one, advanced health assessment.
Yeah, I think they dropped that one this semester. Okay.
I noticed there was still reading in our assignments from that book.
Excuse me. You know, I'll be honest with you. I went through an online program also, and the problem with the online programs is there's so much information embedded in it. It's so easy to miss things, and I'll be honest, sometimes the professors and adjunct miss it too. And it doesn't, you know, one thing trickles, it's kind of a ripple effect, just like COVID, you know, it just, one thing happens, right, and it happens all the way down the line. So if she made an announcement that we're not going to do that, which I believe she did, then we won't. It just is probably somewhere embedded in there that she hasn't realized yet.
Okay, I just wanted to be test questions coming from that reading, and then I wasn't getting them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And who asked that question?
Tracy.
Tracy? Okay, Tracy, what's your last name?
Barry Eigert. I sent an email to you,
okay.
I think, about it.
Oh, you did? Okay. Let me look that up today and see, and I'll get you a specific answer on it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Julie, this is Sarah Christopherson. I have a question about our assessment videos.
Uh-huh.
I know it said
you mean
in the
like your
instructions,
videos, your practice videos that you're going to do?
Yeah, like
okay.
we have the ear, nose, and throat due this week. I know it said in the instructions that we have to have our patient read the release form.
Yeah, you don't need to do that.
Okay.
That just chews up time for you doing your assessment, in my opinion.
That was my question. I was like, is that going to count against us for our 10-minute time limit? So no.
Well, and you know, you'll see like in there, they're going to have you do like they're going to have you do the Snellen test and the Rosenberg and you know, and you can just go on there and say, we performed the Snellen test before the video and here are the results. You know.
Oh, okay. Well, that helps.
Yes. The most important thing that we want to hear on those assessments is, you know, people look in the ear and they're said, okay, looks good. That is not what I want to hear. I want to know, I want to hear you say, for me, so it makes a picture for me to see what you're looking at.
Okay.
I want to see there's a, you know, there's no bulging, the tympanic membrane looks pearly gray, there's a shine at 5 o'clock. Those are the things we're looking for on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And one other thing about that, make sure that you position your phone or your laptop so that I can see what you're doing. Because a lot of times
Okay.
people they'll not thinking about it and they'll turn their back to it and all I can see is your back and your head. And then I can't see what you're
Okay.
doing to the patient. So not that, you know, you're going to fail. I mean, this is for you to learn. Nobody gets it right
Okay.
the first time. It's just, you know, I mean, no one starts out perfect.
Right.
No one.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Any
Hi,
other questions? Okay.
And thank you so much for those assurances, because it's like, is it like nursing school returns where you just can fail?
Oh, you know, I don't believe in that nurses eating their young. I don't like that. I don't think we should treat each other that way.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, I mean, you know, like you said, it's like see one, do one. We're very visual people. We're very hands-on people, and that's how we learn. And, you know, you've got to pay it forward and let other people, you know, you want to lift them up, not chop them down.
Well, I think people learn better that way, so thank you for that.
They
And
do.
I
Yes.
had an additional question, so thank you for taking some of the stress. Not that I won't strive to do my very best, but that takes the stress off.
Well,
you know.
there's a lot of stuff to do in this semester. It's a
Yes.
busy. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, yeah, I'm not that kind of person. I want you to learn. I'll do everything I can help you to learn.
Well, thank
But
you.
sometimes it's just easier to talk to you about it, you know, on the phone or to explain it because it's so hard. You know, sometimes miscommunications happen in email and instructions and stuff. So
Yeah,
don't
and I
hesitate to text me or email. So.
and appreciate the live meeting. And relative to that, for the upcoming test, is there going to be a live test review or?
Well, we don't usually do that. What I put out, to me, it's better to do we do a study guide.
Okay.
And the lead instructor, she puts one out too. And so most of my students, they do pretty well. I mean, between the two study guides, we don't give you the answer, but we're going to go over and tell you this is what you need to, you know. And I think sometimes you're reading those books, and you're like, oh, I got to remember. And you can't, you just, you know, you're reading 500 pages. How are you going to absorb all that? So it kind of hits on the high points of what you need to know.
Okay, perfect. Study guides, that sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, and I try to get them out at least a week ahead of time, but like I said, she just told us the other day, oh, by the way, I made 4 tests instead of 3. So I'm like, I got to get in there and revamp them. So, but I'll try and get that done today.
Okay, well, we appreciate that also. Thank you. That helps focus.
Well, like I said, I was in an online program too, so I understand. I do.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, I got another question here. The test will be multiple choice and short answer. Yes, and I will put that in the, when I post it, it'll say in there short answer and multiple, it'll say how many of each. And it'll also tell you what systems we're going over in chapters too. So I will say, you know, a lot of people kind of get hung up on the short answer. And the best thing that you can do is just read through the entire question, because you're going to have one question and it's going to have 4 questions in that one question. So it might say, what's the abnormal, normal, you know, of this and that. And then you've got to answer 4 different things in there to get all the points. Whereas some people just read through it and they answer one thing. And that's how they miss points on the short answer. Just make sure you read through it thoroughly and answer every part of it. And the multiple choice is multiple choice, you know. Did that help you? Be white? Okay, great. Anyone else have questions?
I always have a question.
Go ahead.
Relative to the multiple choice, are there any select all that apply? Those are the bane of my existence. So I guess
No,
that's
I will tell you, there's not any in there.
okay.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
it's very specific.
Okay.
You
Thank
know
you.
how
These
you
just need
do
me to-
multiple choice and you have one that is like totally out there and doesn't make any sense, and then you have two that are really good. That's what they're going to be like.
Okay, that's doable. If those select all that apply, there's a lot of fine definition with those. So.
Especially in this kind of class, yeah, but we
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know. She doesn't do any of those. They're all specific.
Okay,
So.
I can exhale just a little bit, so thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, the tests are going to be, I think it's about 75% of your grade. So honestly, you know, people get hung up on, oh, I missed 5 points here. The grade, your test is what you really need to do well on. Okay, that, and you've got to pass your video at the end, your head to toe video. So we'll work, you know, you'll be working on those throughout the whole semester. So. All right, any more questions? Okay, all right, so this is recorded. Last time I tried to do this, it didn't work for me. So I am going to try really hard to get this recorded and up this time, okay? If not, I'll post notes of what went on. Okay?
Okay.
All right, you guys have a great day, and I should get that study guide out hopefully today, okay?
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.